Hello everyone. My name is Abdul, and it's actually Abdurrahman, but I realized that when I went to the UK that people find it difficult to say Abdurrahman. So just to make people's life easy, I said, you can just call me Abdul. And since then, I became Abdul instead of Abdurrahman. Actually, my mother liked it. So now, even my mother, she calls me Abdul. Writing. Why do you write? Why do you need to write? Do you like writing? Or is it part of your job that you have to write anyway? If you write as part of your job, then maybe you will find it difficult to write. It's like painting or drawing or anything like that. But if you really get the skill, you become deadly. No one can stop you. If you write well, if you articulate your ideas well, people give you opportunities, they give you funding, you become an influencer. It's amazing. It's a very important skill. And this is why, we should write. Today we're going to talk about a tool towards good writing. There are different names for it, but some people call it a graphic organizer. Basically, it's about how to, this is the definition, it's visual displays of relationships among facts, concept, ideas. There is a philosophy actually behind writing. The problem with humans is that you can't access their brain. It's impossible to access it, at least, up until now with science. It would be, I think there is a new movie actually. It's about somebody got hit by a car or something like this, and then she started to be able to read people's ideas. And at first she was scared. And then she was like, oh my gosh, this is an advantage. But also it's a horrible thing. Imagine, can you imagine? Like your husband, your wife, your partner, your friends, you can read their minds. It's terrifying. It's fantastic. I mean, you would be the perfect spy. But also another problem is that even you find it difficult to deliver your ideas. It's like your brain, but you don't have control over your brain, at least over the way you represent your ideas. And, sometimes writing is kind of like a mask you wear. Sometimes you say I really like your writing, but I really hate it when you start talking. Because, maybe he's good at writing or she's good at writing, but not good at saying what's going on in her or his brain. So writing is basically, because every human creates an image in his or her brain. And then I'm good or bad at taking this image and then put it in your head. So if I manage to draw the image in my head, in your head, then I'm a good communicator. If it's in my image, it's so pretty, and then I put in your image and it's so ugly, this means I'm a bad painter. And this is writing. So if I write down my ideas, writing is difficult. Whether it's your first language, second language, third language, it's difficult. It's not easy. But again, if you manage to write well, you become deadly. You become you can insert so much influence over people's life. You can be a good leader. Come on, leaders. Most of them, they don't really do what they, tell people. But when they communicate, when they articulate their ideas, they influence people. And people even know that, these leaders will not do what they promised to do. But in our brain, when we think, it's so messy. Sometimes you don't want to see like what's going on here. Because our brain is like, it's kind of like map, but a bad map. It's like thinking, brainstorming, all these ideas, they're going on in here. But thanks to science, now we have mapping. How to map your ideas, how to connect them. And this is exactly the definition of graphic organizer. How to connect your ideas. This goes here, this goes over there. Oh, this is connected to this one, this connected to that one, and then you make a pretty picture out of it, out of the mess in your brain. Theorists or like writers, they thought there are two types of a graphic organizer. There is something called concept mapping, and then there is something else called mind mapping. You need to just observe them for a bit. Concept mapping, mind mapping. I'm going to talk about these two different things, and their implication is different in our daily life. I'm going to show you today everything about each one. Okay, this is concept mapping. You've seen it a lot. But you've seen bad ones and you've seen good ones. When you read a book, sometimes you feel like it's amazing. The flow is so nice. Just you move from one paragraph to another, the language, the ideas, the flow, the sequence, it's just amazing. You move from one idea to another. And then you read another book, it's like horrible. Sometimes, and this is part of, because we've all like been through education, sometimes you attend a class and you feel like you're really so, with all respect, so stupid. But if you think about it, sometimes it's not you are stupid, but sometimes the presenter is stupid. He's not able to deliver ideas. Why do you put it on you? And it's kind of like power relations. How sometimes a presenter fails to deliver ideas to audience. So the communication channel, sometimes it's bad, sometimes because of the presenter, sometimes because of the audience. But more likely because of the presenter. Because if the presenter manages to deliver his or her ideas well, then you will get it. And there are so many in education, so many things. Like there's like a pre-test to check before you give any piece of information to people, whether like there are, whether they have like formal knowledge, formal background, or something in particular. But anyway, so this is like concept mapping. Concept mapping basically is you have a topic or a heading, and then you move down. So it's kind of like hierarchical in a way. So you have a title, and then you go through different headings, and then subheadings, sub-subheadings, sub-subheadings, sub-subheadings. And this is how it looks. But sometimes there is like mind mapping. Mind mapping is literally like it's an impressive expression of the mind, because our mind should be like this. And if it's not like this, there's a problem with your mind, with your brain. And especially when you do brainstorming, your brain should be functioning like this. And then, as an educated person, as an academic person, you want to make sense of it. And as you know, we always hear this like phrase, making sense of the data, making sense of your thoughts. And this is how you make sense of them. You try to connect them. But here you notice it's not hierarchical. Is it? It's not hierarchical, hardly. And this is the difference between concept mapping and mind mapping. Here, in a way, it's hierarchical, going up, down. So you need to start from up, down. Sometimes you go the other way around, but more likely to go up, down. But here, from the central, from the core, and you go like in all directions, basically. And this is mind mapping. Okay, this gentleman, he come from, I can show you. So first, he came up with this idea, the mind mapping. It was in 1970s. His name is Tony, and he's from the UK, and he come from the journalism sector. So he used to be a journalist in BBC. And this guy, he came up with the idea of the concept mapping, and again, it was founded in the 1970s. His name is Joseph, and he's from the US, and he comes from an academic background. So this is why like concept mapping is widely used in academia. I'm trying, before we go to the technical part of the workshop, I'm just like, as an academic, I give you just theoretical background about the topic, so you can theorize it first.
Let's say you're planning a project with others. It can be a family trip. There's notes, photos, files, and links. But when it's time to make it happen, it uses mind mapping science to turn ideas into action. With MindMeister, you get an overview of the entire project, allowing you to focus on what's really important. So when you share your mind map, all collaborators can easily give their input and brainstorm together in real time. But MindMeister isn't just for planning projects. It's a great way to spark creativity, structure your thoughts, study and memorize, build presentations, and even to visualize and solve complex problems. So try our live demo today and see how MindMeister can bring your life into focus.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we're going to use it for the next one. But thank you so much. Yeah, this is just a video, the one I just showed you, about one piece of software. We're going to talk about it later. Yeah, I talked about it already. There was a movie called Lucy. Have you seen it, guys? Lucy? Ah, cool. So, I don't think it's true. I think it's not accurate. But the idea of the movie is that people use 20%, this is the maximum thing that you can use as a human being, to use 20% of your brain capacity. I don't know whether it's true or not. But what I'm certain about is that humans normally don't use their full capacity. But thanks, we have tools to help us maximize our use of our brain capacity. And for example, mind mapping, concept mapping, all these ideas, tools, they help us use our brain more. Talked about this. I think they talked, they asked a president, I can't remember. They asked him, what's the most important thing? He said, education, education, education. And in this presentation, in this workshop, I say structure, structure, structure. When you structure your arguments, when you structure your thoughts, when you structure the way you... I mean, why am I using this even PowerPoint? Because I want to structure my thought. And when you feel that I'm structuring it in a good way, like for example now here, when I click on this one goes gray. I could just keep it like exactly in the same color, just because I want to present my idea in a better way. If somebody else comes now and he's or she's late, then she knows that we already passed something else. So we're here, we're not here. And then when I move to this one, you know that I already talked about this one, I talked about this one, I'm here now. And this is about structuring your ideas, structuring your thoughts. The good news is that, as some academics said, or even scholars, mind mapping and concept mapping can be used in different sectors. It can be used in journalism, in business, in academia. I'm going to tell you the story behind this workshop. Actually, this is my first time to give this workshop. And the reason why, one day, Dr. Mukbil, the Dean of the Deanship of Academic Development, one day he invited me to a small workshop. And by the end of the workshop, he said, everyone, you have a task. You go home, send me a report of potential workshops that we give in our enrichment program. So I went home. Everyone expected everyone else to write a report. 3, 4, 5, 10 pages, potential workshops. What I did is, I went over there. I was trying to capture the messiness of my brain, and there are so many ideas coming to my brain. What kind of workshops we could provide people in the enrichment program. And then eventually, I designed a mind map. So I sent Dr. Mukbil one sheet. In a way, it was similar to, similar to this one, but more organized actually, and more simple. And then he loved the idea to the extent that he invited me to give a workshop about mind mapping, although I didn't even suggest it in the first place. And this is how I got invited to give this workshop. So, in other words, if you want to impress your boss, your manager, your supervisor, some people here are doing their PhD, then mind mapping, concept mapping. And I'm going to tell you a reason why I got my PhD actually. Because I made my examiners happy. I don't think they maybe even liked my PhD thesis. But what I did is, I did a roadmap of my PhD thesis. And I printed it on A0, literally A0. And then I said, okay, if you want to read my PhD thesis, you start from here, and then you go here, and then you go here, and then here. And here is page 12, and then here page 30, and then here page 62. And then it takes you through all my PhD until the end. And then I folded it, and then I attached it to my PhD thesis. And then the examiner in the examination, he said, Abdul, I literally opened your mind map, and then I had my your thesis, and then I was reading it and then going through your roadmap, literally. And then it's like, done, I'm here, done. And she was so pleased. I think this is why she let me pass. Because just like we are humans, we get influenced by the way we present our work to other people. I remember there is, PMU, Prince Muhammad University. And I have an article, it just got accepted actually. This morning they sent me the production proof of an article, and it's an impact in an impact factor journal. And this is something I'm going to talk about it later. And I think the reason why they liked the article is because, as the reviewer said, it's well structured. The data you had, he said, the data you had, you managed to analyze the data you had in a very systematic way. The structure of the article is good. Why? Because I give workshops about mind mapping. This is my game. So before that, I sent the article to the dean, Wolfgang Hink. He's a German guy, and he was a dean in PMU, Prince Mohammed University, and then now he's the vice president in Iraq. He likes adventures. But I sent him the article because he was interested in it for some reason. And he said again, I really love how you categorize your data, because I interviewed so many people, and then what I did is, and if some of you are interested in qualitative research, then you notice that when you interview 50, 60, 70 people, you come across with, some people call it mining data. Mining data is huge. You get it through thousands of people, or like sometimes millions of people. But I call it like mini mining data. So you come up with so much data and you get lost in the data. And I think there is an article called Lost in the Data. And then now, here's your game. Here's your skill. If you manage to make sense of the data, you put them nicely together, and anyone here has written a book? Great. Was it challenging to structure the book? Exactly. Because it's a huge piece of paper. Everyone here wrote his or her PhD, or master's at least. And it's so challenging to put them together. And sometimes you change one little thing here, and you're worried that maybe you didn't even talk about it before. Maybe it doesn't make sense here. Maybe I should move it over there. So I've written myself a book, and I will never do it again. It was so tough. I think I have a copy of the book. So this is the book I've written. This is the, I think, 9th edition of the book. What I did is, literally, I went to Jarir. I asked them for, I think I've done, I have a picture here. I've done something similar to this. Yeah, here we go. This one. So this is a real one, actually. These are my students. But I did exactly the same thing. I covered every wall, I covered it with sheet. It's very cheap. You can find it in Jarir. It's either like sticky, it gets stuck to the wall, or just you can tape it to the wall. So I covered all the walls in the house, and then I said, okay, this is chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. And then I started reading the previous edition of the book, and I say, oh, that's, okay, this one should go to, I think it's wrong. It's not supposed to be in chapter 1. It should be in chapter 6. So I go over there and I write it on the wall, like these guys. And then after like 2 or 3 weeks, it was the whole room full of writings. But now I'm happier with the structure of the book. I'm sure like it can be better, but now I'm happier. So if you go through the book, you see yourself moving from one wall to another until you finish the book. So this is a real one, by the way.
Are you a student or researcher? Then you know how difficult it is to find relevant literature, to remember all the information you read in that literature, and to draft your own assignments, papers, and theses. Docker offers a truly unique solution to these problems. Docker is free and open source, available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and we guarantee that it will revolutionize the way you organize, draft, and discover academic literature. Here is how Docker works. Whenever you store new PDFs on your hard drive, Docker imports them.
Okay, we're not going to go through it a lot, but this is another piece of software that helps you mind map or concept map your ideas. But why, like you could ask me just, Abdul, why should we use mind mapping or concept mapping anyway? First, if you want to generate ideas, we are decision makers, some of us. Some of us are managers. Some of us are, like all of us, are academics. So in one point of our life, we need to generate ideas. So if you want to really push it to the limit, then you need to use a tool. There are so many different tools. One is mind mapping or concept mapping to generate more ideas. Second, because sometimes like you can't see your ideas. This is a problem. And you want to visualize it. And one way to visualize your ideas is to go for graphic organizer. I talked about a lot, and I stress it. The beauty of communicating with people is to classify your ideas, put similar ones together, and then mind mapping and concept mapping are a good solution for this. If you want to study, if you want to organize ideas, if you want to solve a problem, if you want to make well-informed decisions, because if you, as a manager, if you want to make a good decision, you want to show your senior manager or you want to show other people that you've made a well-informed decision. And if you want to make a well-informed decision, this means you managed to see the whole picture. And in order to see the whole picture, you as an individual, it's very difficult for you to see the whole picture. It's impossible. So this is why sometimes you need to resort to tools. Sometimes you go for like a group discussion, focus group. You know, you use these tools in order to understand the whole picture to make a well-informed decision. You can use it to summarize ideas, brainstorm ideas, to take notes, because I remember one of my classmates, she was using a mind map to take notes of the class, which was really great.
Welcome to iMindMap 11, our most powerful version yet. iMindMap remains your #1 choice for digital mind mapping. Now with brand new views and innovative features, 11 takes visual thinking further than you've ever experienced before. Organise thoughts beautifully with all new radial map views. Represent importance, break down data and make information more meaningful without losing the bigger picture. New organisational charts are great for representing hierarchical data. Create tree-like or linear diagrams that show structure and a traceable chain of information. Fast Capture View now features a whole new way of working. Create a bubble web by firing a free flow of new ideas into a connected web of thoughts. Then switch to brand new bubble groups to collect related topics together. Use split screen to transfer ideas between projects. Drag and drop branches, sticky notes and more between views to make new connections and take your thinking further. With the addition of Hindi, Korean, Swedish, Malay and Turkish, iMindMap 11 is available in 19 different languages. New start screens and updated toolbars feature cleaner layouts and improved icons for fewer distractions and quicker access to your favourite tools. Our central idea gallery has grown with brand new designs. Position your central idea text where it makes most sense to you. Say hello to a library of familiar faces.